What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. I'm still pumped about this Rafael Devers thing. The fact that the Red Sox still shelled out the sixth largest contract in baseball history to lock up their face of the franchise, best player on this team, Rafael Devers, for the next decade is something I get giddy about every time I think of. But there's something else I think of when I think of Rafael Devers' contract extension. That is, who is next? Who's the next guy on this Red Sox team, in this Red Sox organization, that's going to be a sort of face of the franchise type guy? Obviously, you're going to have Rafael Devers still around, but a name that people know throughout the league is one of the best hitters, fielders, players in baseball. And there's one guy that I keep coming back to who I really genuinely think could be the next superstar for this Red Sox team. And that's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about who on this Red Sox team I think is the next MLB superstar. We're going to talk about why I think that, some of the things that point towards that, and where I think he could go in the next couple of seasons. And I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below, who do you think is going to be the next superstar of the Boston Red Sox? But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. One of the really cool things to develop over the last couple Red Sox seasons is the fact that there are a couple of really interesting guys that we could put into, hey, maybe this is the future of the Boston Red Sox. You've got guys like Marcelo Meyer, who has always been a highly touted prospect. Some considered him the best in the draft the year he was drafted, and he's really lived up to that throughout his minor league season so far, and he's really only gotten better. In fact, most people believe he will be the future of shortstop for the Boston Red Sox. It seems like the Boston Red Sox believe that, right? It seems as though they are positioning shortstop perfectly for him to come up whenever he feels fit. You've got guys like Brayan Bello, who had a kind of a tough start to his MLB career with a couple of bad starts right out the gate. Finished the year really strong with his last 5 outings ending up with a below 2 ERA. Plus, he's also spending time with Pedro Martinez working on his pitching this offseason. And obviously, only good things can come from Brayan Bello working with Pedro Martinez, right? He may genuinely have the nastiest changeup in baseball next year, so that's a guy you can keep an eye on. Miguel Blaze is another guy you can keep your eye on as well. Now, he's a little bit younger, and it's definitely going to be a while until he makes his major league debut, but he had a really great year in the Florida Complex League. Most scouts really love almost all of his tools. They believe his power is coming along, and Blaze could be a guy that could end up being a 5-tool player in this Red Sox system. None of those guys are the guy I want to talk about today. No, the guy I want to talk about today, and the guy I think is the future superstar of the Boston Red Sox, is Triston Casas. Now, this may seem like a pretty obvious answer, and that's because it kind of is, right? Triston Casas was one of the Red Sox top prospects for a while before he made his major league debut. He was one of the top national MLB prospects for first base, right? And he still continues to be, even though he made his major league debut. But even though it's the obvious answer, I really do think it's the correct one, and let me tell you why. Right off the bat, his baseline stat line for 2022 wasn't something to scream he's going to be a superstar at least, again, the very baseline statistics, because he finished 2022 with an average of 197, which is pretty low compared to the rest of the MLB. He also had a really impressive on base percentage at 358, a slug of 408, and an OPS, even with the little bit lower statistics, was sitting at 113, which is about 13% more productive than the average player in baseball. To go along with those baseline stats in 2022, he also had 5 home runs and 15 hits in 76 at bats. So again, if you're just basing it off of kind of not traditional baseball stats, but more baseline baseball stats, right? His average was a bit lower. That slug was a little bit lower than you'd probably like it to be. That on-base percentage was really high compared to his average. But even with a little bit lower statistics in some categories, the fact that Triston Casas finished the year with an OPS plus 13% better than the average pit player in baseball leads a lot of people, including myself, to believe that there is more than meets the eye with Triston Casas. And that's what I want to focus on this video, because a lot of the advanced metrics, a lot of the kind of in-depth statistics point towards Triston Casas having a really good MLB career. And this is why, right? Diving a little bit deeper into Triston Casas' statistics tell a little bit of a different story. For starters, his chase rate is at 17.4%, which is 11% better than the average in MLB, which is sitting at 28.4%. His contact on pitches in inside of the zone. When he does swing, is sitting at 79.7%, which means he's making contact when he swings at pitches inside of the zone 79.7% of the time. That's only about 2.3% worse than the league average at 82. What those two statistics means, and the reason I brought those up, is because it indicates that Triston Casas already has a pretty elite idea of what the strike zone looks like and sticks pretty well to that strike zone. He's not a guy who's going to chase a lot of pitches, and he's not a guy who's going to swing and miss a ton within the strike zone. And that's important for two reasons. The first is because when players get up to the major league level, they feel a lot of pressure to perform really well early, right? The average career in Major League Baseball is sitting at 1.5 years, and to get past that threshold, you have to perform pretty well pretty early on. So there's a lot of pressure on these players to do well at the plate early. And two, because the pitching in the minor leagues compared to the major leagues, according to literally everyone who's been in the minors and the majors, is vastly different. Once you get to the major leagues, it's like an entirely different ballgame. The pitching in the majors is so far advanced from anything you are going to see in the minor leagues, even in AAA, which is the closest to the major league level. So for Casas to already have an established strike zone and be able to identify pitches inside and outside of the strike zone is hugely important to his progression as a player. Taking a look at some more advanced metrics here, looking more on the power side of things, in 2022, Triston Casas had an extra base hit percentage of 6.3, which is only about 1.3% worse than the league average, which means that in a very limited sample size, Triston Casas was already getting near league average for extra base hits. He also had an at-bat to home run ratio of 15.2, which is 16.1 at-bats better than the league average at 31.3. That is insanely impressive. That means he's hitting home runs at almost double the rate as the average player in baseball in 2022. Now remember, this is a smaller sample size. As those at-bats get larger, that number's probably going to raise a little bit, obviously throughout an MLB season. 162 games, if you were hitting a home run every 15 at-bats, you'd have like 70 home runs. It would be absolutely insane, and he probably won't get to that level, but the fact that he is already an above average home run hitter in baseball with such a limited sample size and experience in Major League Baseball is again hugely important. Now the reason I brought up these statistics and really dove deep into what makes Triston Casas tick at the plate is for two reasons. Those reasons are fairly simple. The first is to show you guys that sometimes average doesn't tell the full story of a player's worth. You can hit below 200 and still have a very productive season at the plate, especially in a very small sample size like Casas had. And two, it's to show you guys that why I think Triston Casas could be a superstar hitter at the major league level. It's because of his recognition of the strike zone and being able to identify and indicate which pitches he does and does not want to hit at an elite level, combined with the fact that his power levels are already above league average. As he progresses and grows at the plate, there's a very good chance that those numbers just keep increasing. He's very close to dead even on the amount of strikeouts and walks he had in 2022, and that number could continue to grow as well, even surpassing walks to strikeouts at some point. So the fact that he already has the two of those combined, to me, lead me to believe that he is going to be a really elite hitter at the major league level. And it's not just his hitting that gets me excited about the future of Triston Casas as a household name in baseball. His fielding is also really good. He won the Defensive First Baseman of the Year award in the minor leagues this year, and at the major league level in only a couple of games he had a fielding percentage of .995, and he only made one error in that time, which is kind of a breath of fresh air for this Red Sox team, who really struggled with defensively with first base as a position in 2022 for most of it until Triston Casas got here. Bob was decent. He wasn't very good though. He did make a couple of errors. Franchi Cordero, God love him, he tried. He was not good at all. To finally have a defensive first baseman, a guy who can legitimately field the position and field the position pretty well, is again another important indicator of how Triston Casas' impact on this Red Sox team may look like. The biggest concern in Triston Casas' game right now is his health, right? The reason he came up so late within the 2022 MLB season is because he was injured at the beginning of the year at the AAA level. He also sustained another injury this off season, and that's the one thing, in my opinion, that can truly derail the progression of Triston Casas, because at such a young age, that development in Major League Baseball is super important. At the end of the day, the reason I brought up all the advanced statistics, all the metrics, metrics, all the ratios, stuff we don't normally talk about on this channel, is because I truly do think out of all the prospects that we could say could be a superstar in the major leagues, I think Triston Casas is that guy. Marcelo Meyer is exciting and fun to watch, and really I have high hopes for him as well. Bayo is going to be someone I'm super excited to watch pitch a full major league season. Blaze is a guy who I'm going to keep a keen eye on and watch out for his highlights and listen to podcasts about his development in the Red Sox system. But to me, Triston Casas is the next superstar of this Red Sox team. But again, like I said in the intro, let me know in the comment section down below, who is your pick for the future superstar of the Boston Red Sox? Is it one of the guys we mentioned? Are you agreeing with me? Is it Triston Casas? Is it someone completely different? Let me know who that guy is in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seat.